there is no need to look for the cause. Somehow or other, we should always bring out some solution. This is the idea, that we should compete. Who's going to give better solution? And this idea of trying to find out the cause of the disease is neglected. Neglected. So this kind of a tendency is now manifested in this crisis. I personally, people say this is the crisis of health, but I personally think this is the crisis of authority. Here in London, we have taken part in the protests. There are people here in London protesting against the lockdowns. People are locked all over the world. So there's a group of people who regularly protest against these lockdowns, and they say that the COVID-19 pandemic is just some kind of a hoax. They say like that, and we have taken part in these protests. Not necessarily that we want to get involved in political affairs. We go everywhere with our madanga and kartals, with our chanting Hare Krishna. We chant the name of the Lord. We go anywhere where people are receptive. So we went there, and we have seen that there's been so much confusion. So these are the people who are protesting, and they're all over the world. People are protesting against these lockdowns. They say that this is a violation of our freedoms. In the Western world, the Western people are very much proud of their freedoms and democracy and liberalism. So there are people who are protesting, and then you have the other side. Those are the government, the scientists, and so on, and they say, "Oh, these people are crazy. It is a serious problem. The virus is spreading, and we must save the world," right? And now people don't know what is the truth anymore. And now everyone on the internet, if you just go on the internet, everyone is giving his own solution. So this is a crisis of authority and a crisis of trust. Nobody trusts anyone. And a valuable tool, very sophisticated and wonderful tool, the internet, is now becoming the cause of all these problems, because everyone and everyone becomes an authority, and there is confusion. So the Vedic culture that we Krishna conscious people are following, and it is the culture of the Indian people especially. That's where Lord Krishna appeared, in the land of Bharata Barsha. The mentality is different. The mentality is that Krishna has made everything perfect. In the Sri Upanishad, the part of the Upanishad scriptures, there is a nice shloka. Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udashate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Ivavashishate. Now, maybe my pronunciation of the Sanskrit is not perfect. Please forgive me. I'm from the Western countries. We have learned these shlokas out of great appreciation of the ancient Vedic culture. So please forgive if there's a little discrepancy. Basically, it means that Krishna is perfect and complete. And whatever is coming from Krishna, whatever is emanating from Krishna, that is also complete by itself. And this material world is perfect, because this material world is also emanation of Krishna. Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita that earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are my separated energy. This is my material energy. It is Krishna's energy. Mama Maya, Durataya. He also says this material energy is very difficult to overcome, but he says it is my energy. So the material energy is also Krishna, When we use it in Krishna's service, it revives its spiritual nature. If we use that material energy for our sense gratification, then it becomes Durga. It becomes a chastising agent of Krishna. Then we suffer in the captivity of the material energy. So if everything is already perfect by Krishna's arrangement, there is no need of creating anything new. There is no need of new authority, new religion, new machine, there's nothing needed like this. Everything is already perfect. We simply have to accept the instruction and follow it. We should make Krishna the center of our life, and we should arrange our society based on spiritual consciousness. Put Krishna in the center of our global society, and arrange the nations in such a way that every nation is serving Krishna. Just like you have many circles. If you have many circles and they have different centers, they must clash with one another at one point. If we simply put the one center, Krishna, then you can have many circles. They never clash with one another. They coexist simultaneously for the same goal, center, Krishna, devotional service to Krishna. So this is our movement proposing. Let us arrange society in such a way that every single person can be engaged in his way, in his whatever propensity he has in the service of Krishna. This is our movement. And this is Krishna's instruction to us. If we follow this, everything, all the problems will be solved automatically, just like Krishna is promising. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions, from all the difficulties. So this is the Vedic tradition. This knowledge of Bhagavad Gita has been passed down through the cyclic succession of devotees. Just like Arjuna was a devotee, he was not a speculator or a jnani or a yogi. He was a bhakta. That's why Krishna explained the knowledge to Arjuna. And he said, I'm making you the first to receive this message of the Bhagavad Gita. And Krishna also explained the principle of parampara. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasya vidu sekalani amata yoganashta parantapa. That this knowledge of one's original relationship with the Lord is passed down through succession of spiritual masters. And this knowledge is passed down unchanged as it is. There's no need to change. There might be a slightly different presentation, but the original idea should be preserved as it is, because Krishna's word and Krishna's solution is perfect. If we think like this, oh, God, who can be more intelligent than God? God is the most intelligent, the most perfect. He knows past, present, and future, everything. He's omniscient, omniconscious. I am simply conscious of my body, but the Lord is conscious of every single living entity's bodies. So if he says something, I cannot compare myself to him. If we accept this disciplic conclusion through the disciplic succession, then everything is perfect. However, in the modern society, the theory of evolution has been introduced, and this has catastrophic consequences for the society. This theory of evolution says that the man is always improving, and he's improving by his aggressive behavior. It's called the survival of the fittest doctrine. That those species, Charles Darwin, he introduced this philosophy in the 19th century. He presented the idea that the species, they evolve, and the strongest species, those who survive, those who are stronger physically, they survive, and those who are weak, they die off. They're extinct. So this theory, it's a theory, has no scientific background, no scientific evidence has been given. It is simply a theory, and it is a foolish theory. But unfortunately, the modern society is very much influenced by this theory. You see? So in the Bhagavad Gita, um, it is mentioned, I'm going to quote from the 16th chapter, text number 8. Asatyam aparatishthaham te jagat ahur anishwaram aparaspara sambhutam kim anyat kama haitukam. This Krishna explains about the Asuras, about the demoniac people. Krishna describes them. He says, they say that this world is unreal, that there is no foundation and there is no God in control. It is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. So, this theory of evolution is based on this principle, this Ashuric principle, that basically in the beginning there was some kind of big bang, and from this big bang, the whole creation manifested. Some chemicals, everything is coming from chemicals. In other words, there is no God, there is no consciousness, and there is no reason for this creation to take place. From the Vedic scriptures and by the revelation of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya Acharyas, we get to know that especially from our Srila Prabhupada, we get to know that the reason for this material world to exist is to give conditioned souls, the Nitya Bhadas, an opportunity to exercise their illusion of being the masters. In other words, before this material existence began for us, we're already with Krishna in the Paravyam, in the spiritual sky, in the spiritual world. And by our independence, we have decided to come down to this material world and forget God, forget Krishna. and to exercise our false, is not actually false, but when we exercise this independence wrongly, then we have this false idea of being masters. So that independence Krishna never touches. Even at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says to Arjuna, after he explained the whole science of bhakti yoga, he says, now I have explained the Bhagavad Gita to you, the science, now you do whatever you wish to do. Krishna doesn't interfere. Similarly, in the spiritual world, everything is based on freedom. There is no force. You don't have to be in the spiritual world and be with Krishna. At any point, you can decide, enough of this, I want to forget Krishna. If Krishna doesn't give that option, the spiritual world is not blissful, cannot be blissful. If something is by force, that goes against the principle of bliss. So Krishna has manifested this material world to give it an opportunity to condition souls to exercise the false idea of being God. And that is going on. Everyone is competing here that I am the Lord, I am superior. And everyone is simply in anxiety and suffering because of this. So this is the root cause of our problems. Where I was discussing before when I started this presentation, then any disease, it is good to know the initial cause. So from the scriptures, from Srila Prabhupada, we get to know that the original cause of material existence is our rebellion or our desire to deny God and to become God ourselves falsely. That will never happen actually. But Krishna gives us this opportunity to exercise that freedom. So I will now quote. I have written a book, a short treatise based on the teachings of our spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Whatever I'm saying here, this is not manufactured by me. These are not my realizations. I am simply repeating what I have studied from the teachings of Srila Prabhupada. So here I'm gonna quote from my book, The History of Atheism. These books are available on our website, expandedbliss.com. Um, there's a chapter in this book. I explain this principle of atheism, how it is deep rooted within the soul on the journey of material existence. And there's a chapter called there's a chapter about the evolution theory as presented by Charles Darwin. So I have prepared here one quote from this book. I shall read now. Although the word evolution implies 2 points in time, namely the non-evolved state and the evolved state, the evolutionists provide no explanation as to what exactly is the beginning of that evolutionary cycle. Nor do we get to know from them what the different species are ultimately evolving towards to. The theory of evolution is therefore incomplete. You see, so we're studying just the middle portion of the evolution. Suppose there is such a thing that the species are evolving throughout the history. The world was created from some chemicals with a big bang. There are two important questions. What is the beginning? What is the cause? Why are we here? Why this evolution process is taking in the first place? And second point, what we are evolving towards to. So without answering these two questions, why should we accept anything this theory is proposing? These are fundamental questions that we should ask, and the scientists, the evolutionists, they should be able to answer. Now, Srila Prabhupada reveals in one of his conversations that actually Mr. Darwin has borrowed this idea of evolution from the Vedas. This actually is a fact, historical fact, that when the British were occupying India, they have presented Indian culture as very primitive. There was a conscious propaganda made in such a way that the other nations will not interfere with the British invasion. So they can go on and exploit the Indian people very nicely. So they have presented this idea that the Vedic culture is primitive, that the Vedas are written after the Bible was written, and so many other bogus theories. So it's not a surprise that actually Darwin have borrowed the idea from the Vedas, just like the British people would exploit the resources of India. They would also exploit the ideas. So I'm continuing here now, a quote from my book, The History of Atheism. The original and perfect explanation of evolution, however, is already mentioned in the 5,000 years old Vedas. The Vedas state, Ashitim chaturashchaiva laksham stan jiva jatishu brahmadvi purushai parapyam manusyam janma paryayat tadapi abhalatam jata tesham atmabhimaninam Varakanam anashritya govindam charanadvayam. Translation. This is a quote from Brahma Vaivarta Purana. One attains the human form of life after transmigrating through 8,400,000 species of life by the process of gradual evolution. That human form of life is spoiled for those conceited fools who do not take shelter of the lotus feet of Govinda, Krishna. Another quote from Padma Purana. Jalaja navalakshani stavara lakshavimshati krimayor udra sankyaka pakshinam dasha lakshanam trimshal lakshani pashava chatur lakshani manushaha. Translation. There are 900,000 species of aquatic life, 2 million species of plants and trees, 1,100,000 species of insects, 1 million species of bird life, 3 million species of beasts, and 400,000 species of human life. You see, so the concept of evolution as presented in the Puranas is as follows. The spirit soul, when he falls down into the material existence, he takes birth as Lord Brahma, the highest living entity in terms of his propensity for self-realization, and also materially speaking, the most elevated human form is that of Lord Brahma. That's how the living entity starts his journey in the material world. And this is going on perpetually. The material world is created and dissolved, created and dissolved. This is going on. Bhutva bhutva praliyate, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita. So, when the living entity falls down, he starts as Lord Brahma, and by interaction with the material modes, he becomes entangled more and more and more, and he's passing through the different species of life. Just like, when we associate with the lower modes of material nature, ignorance, and so on and so on, then we degrade from the human body, we can degrade to lower species. So that is going on perpetually for all of us. We start high and then we go down, 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 down. And then when we reach that tiny little organism, very low form, then we go back by the gradual automatic mechanical process of evolution to the human form through all the different species of life, like it is mentioned here: the aquatic, the plants and trees, the insects, birds' life, beasts, and ultimately human form of life. The human form of life is special gift because in the human form we have the choice to either elevate ourselves or again fall down to the animal kingdom. There's a great boon, great gift. It should not be wasted in any way. So it is not that the species are evolving. The species are already there. And Srila Prabhupada gives a wonderful analogy. Imagine you have your apartment. So if you have better salary at work, you can afford a higher class apartment. It doesn't mean that your apartment changes according to your salary. That doesn't make any sense. You go from your apartment, that apartment stays there, someone else goes there, and you take the higher class apartment. Similarly, the spirit soul, according to his karma, according to his deeds, is qualifying himself for a low-class body or a human form of body or a very elevated body in the heavenly planets, Devaloka, as he takes birth as a Deva, as a demigod. This is all explained in the Bhagavad Gita. So this is the real process of evolution. Darwin, he have twisted it. He said that no, there is no spirit soul and the species themselves are evolving. But to this, we can challenge, if that is so, why are the lower species always there? The aquatics are here, the beasts are here, the monkeys are here. They are very fond of saying that the man has come from monkey. And Srila Prabhupada, he cracked a joke. He said that yes, Mr. Darwin's grandfather is a monkey, but our grandfather is Arjuna and the Pandavas. So we agree that your grandfather is a monkey, yes, but not our grandfather. Anyway, so this is the proper understanding of evolution. We are, okay, how this fall down from the spiritual world begins. Again, I would like to quote here from my book. The real interest of the soul is to serve the Lord, and the interest of the Lord is to receive such service. But under the influence of the inferior material energy, the interest of the soul changes and the soul becomes subjected to dualities. When I was explaining about that circle, right? If we all have our own center, if the center is not Krishna, if I want to make my own center, then there's a clash with the other circles. So I want to serve my family, but you want to serve your family. So there's a clash. I want to serve my nation, but you want to serve your nation, and there's a war. So we must come to the point of serving such a person or such a concept that we serve everyone. Everyone is included. And that is Krishna consciousness. You see, so when that breaks, when that principle breaks, when we deviate from our service to Krishna, we become subjected to dualities. And Krishna explained this in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter. Iksha dvesha samuthena dvandva mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammohan sangayanti parantapa. Translation, all sign of Bharata, Arjuna, all conqueror of the foe, all living entities are born into delusion, overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. Because the Supreme Lord is absolute and all-pervading, there can be no separate existence besides Him. Everything manifested is meant to satisfy Krishna's transcendental senses. And this is the sole purpose of creation. If the minute soul wants to do anything other than this, he sees duality by the mercy of Maya. The dualities of the material world, such as good, bad, happiness, suffering, etc., therefore stem from the original split of interests between the minute soul and the Lord. So this is what brings the anxiety. Just like now I was mentioning before, these two groups. One group says, oh, this COVID, it's a conspiracy. And then you have the other group, they say, no, it's not a conspiracy. You are crazy. We have to save the people. The virus is really serious. So then who's going to decide? Who's going to decide who's right, who's not? This is what creates the confusion, the dualities. We become subjected by dualities. There are also these two psychological movements of the mind, sankalpa and vikalpa. Sankalpa means the mind accepts something, vikalpa means it rejects, right? So this, just like we chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This mantra, Maha Mantra, or mantra in general, helps us to liberate ourselves. Trayate means to deliver or to free. Man means the mind. Liberate ourselves from these two dualities, sankalpa, vikalpa. And similarly, when we engage in devotional service, there is no question of another duality, bhog and tyag. Bhoga means we're enjoying, like the materialists, and tyaga means we're renouncing, like the tyagis, the sannyasis and babajis or whatever, great rishis. They renounce the world. So in Krishna consciousness, we don't have to fall into this duality. Whatever is favorable for Krishna consciousness, we accept. Whatever is unfavorable, we reject. We're not necessarily concerned with what it is. And in this way, we become free from this duality. Whatever is good for Krishna, not for me. And since Krishna is everything, by his energy, he expands into everything. He's a person, but at the same time, he is non-different from his energy. Therefore, we can engage everything in Krishna's service. In this way, we come out of this duality. But we must render service to Krishna. So, this is the cure for all our problems. Engage in devotional service. Don't make yourself the center. Make Krishna the center. And then you can do everything, whatever you like. You will not be implicated in this duality, in this material complexity of material problems in existence. The devotional service is very easy to perform, especially now in this Kali Yuga. There are various methods throughout the ages by which one can attain Krishna consciousness. In the Brahma Vaivata Puranam, it is mentioned, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Harir Nama, Eva Kevalam, Kalo Nasti, Eva Nasti, Eva Gatir Anyata. In this age, people are very fallen. They have very short lifespan, very not so much strength of the body. very lazy, not very much interested in spiritual subject matters. So the method is very simple. Simply chant the name of God. Even Lord Chaitanya, who is the incarnation of Krishna, who has inaugurated this Sankirtan Yuga Dharma in this age, he says Hare Nam, that you can chant the name of Hari. Hari doesn't necessarily mean Krishna. If you have some sectarian objection, oh Krishna, this is Hindu, you can chant the name of God in your authorized religion. Just like we had, a few days back, we had a big session, event, online streaming about Lord Jesus. Lord Jesus is also predicted in the Bhavishya Purana as a genuine devotee of Krishna. So the word Christ and Krishna are actually related. But if you have the sectarian idea, though this is Hindu, this is not good, this is not my religion, now you chant Christ, that's okay. Somehow or other, you should address that Supreme Personality, Godhead, the Supreme Person, and you attain all perfection. It is so simple. This is one of the processes of devotional service as recommended by Prahlad Maharaj in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, and so on, so on. So there is Kirtanam, and before we chant, we should hear from a self-realized soul. Hear about Krishna before we understand how to chant, because there's also a science of chanting. It is not a sentimental chanting. We must make the chanting pure, offenseless. So this we have to learn from a bona fide spiritual master. So we recommend that everyone hears from our spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who has created a revolution in the Western countries by bringing the original conclusion of the Vedic scriptures, and thousands of people like myself has joined his movement, have given up their occupation, have given up their family attachments, and joined with full heart this Sankirtan movement, this chanting movement, this preaching movement. This is unheard of. We have seen previously that the Westerners would conquer India. There was Mohammedan occupation, the British occupation, and so on, so on. But now the original Vedic culture, the original Indian culture, has conquered the West, not by guns, not by weapons, but by this beautiful Vedic knowledge and beautiful Vedic culture. And this Sankirtan movement is the bona fide representation of that Vedic culture in present age, Kali Yuga. So we humbly request all of you to join this movement simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is an immediate connection you can make with that Supreme Personality, Godhead, Krishna, whatever you are. If you simply chant, you please Him. This is devotional service. It is not taken as some kind of a sentiment. And kindly give your attention to the message of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada has written over 80 literatures, the translations of these Vedic scriptures. Srimad Bhagavatam especially is considered to be his masterpiece, written in 30 volumes. Then he wrote the wonderful esoteric teaching of Lord Chaitanya, as written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the holy Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is especially very nectarian, delicious treat for the devotees. And then he has given his commentary on the Bhagavad Gita that has sold in millions, maybe even billions. In the Western countries, this is the most popular copy of the Bhagavad Gita, because Prabhupada presented the Bhagavad Gita as it is, without covering it by nonsense interpretation. Or Krishna is just a manifestation of something higher than impersonal and this and that and so on. This is not stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says clearly, Mattam Paratanam Nanyat Kischit Aste Dhananjaya. I am the supreme truth. There is no higher truth than me. And because Prabhupada has explained the Bhagavad Gita as it is, it was effective. And the Western people who have been religiously and spiritually crippled for ages have now awakened to a new spiritual revolution. They have become spiritually enthused, something unheard of. Something unheard of. So we humbly ask that you kindly take a notice of Srila Prabhupada's contribution to the world and join us to make this world a wonderful place where everyone can express his devotion freely and live nicely, not just from the spiritual point of view, but also from the material point of view, without any anxiety, without any greed and anger that this envy towards Krishna produces, our root cause disease. Then all these problems that we're taxing our brains so much nowadays will be automatically resolved. Just like in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the nice analogy is given in the 5th canto. If you water the roots of a tree, automatically all the branches, leaves, and twigs become nourished. There is no need of separate watering of the branches and leaves. Oh, I have to serve my family. Oh, I have to serve also Lord Shiva. Oh, I also have to serve Lord Ganesh. Oh, I also have to serve the government. No needs. Sarva dharma parityajya mam ekam saranam brajam. If you simply water the roots, all the branches are nourished automatically. Vaishnavanam yata shambhu. This is also stated in the Puranam. Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of Vishnu or Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchitananda Vigraha Anadi Radi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. Lord Brahma in this treatise, Sri Brahma Samhita says, there are many Ishwaras, many controllers, many Devas, but Krishna is the Parameshwara. He is the Supreme Ishwara. So if Lord Brahma says, if Lord Shiva says, why don't we accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord and surrender to him and serve him with love and devotion? This is Krishna consciousness movement. So, of course, more things could be said today, but I guess I'm going to call it a quits now. I don't know if Samit Prabhu is still there. Maybe he left somewhere. I can't see him.
There are people on his stream asking.
Okay. Okay, he's there. So, yeah.
If anything has left from your side, you can continue. Anything left in your presentation?
Okay. Well, all I can say is that we have our live streams on our page. We have formed a society dedicated to the preaching of Srila Prabhupada's message in the world. It's called the Bhaktivedanta Lives in Sound Society. Prabhupada is living in sound, maybe not physically, but he's still living in sound. He has dictated all these nice teachings into a dictaphone, and these have been transcribed. That's how we have all these books. And he's left behind also thousands and thousands of hours of recorded classes. All these materials are freely available on the internet. Anyone can take advantage. And we're trying to propagate, as his humble servants, his teachings. So every day we have a Srimad Bhagavatam class. These are classes on Facebook. Shamyak Prabhu is familiar. That starts at 8:30 London time. And then we also have some afternoon classes. And we also have a podcast that is more kind of like a freestyle presentation. It's a kind of like a radio podcast show with Maitreya here. We crack many jokes there. It's not so serious. That is for people who want to really relax. Sometimes, you know, all this philosophy can make you overdose. So we have everything for everyone. We try our best to propagate the teachings of Krishna consciousness. We welcome your support. If you have any questions, we can discuss, even debate. We're not afraid of challenge. And we want to create this awareness. If you have a different opinion, that's okay. The worst thing is indifference. If you are indifferent to your spiritual consciousness, if you don't care, if you simply think that, oh, the aim of life is to run after money and have sex life and have big family and then die, then that is the greatest defeat of the human form of life. The greatest defeat of spiritual evolution as described in the Puranas. So I think I would stop here.
Thank you so much. I
Thank you.
have some questions.
Yes.
Can I put forward to you?
Please.
Okay. The first question is about how a person, how you or we or the person who related to spirituality tell a person about the self. How a person know about the real self. How we can teach him or how we can introduce him about the true self or the self, not the material body or mind. How we can tell him about the true self or the true personality.
Okay, that's a very good question, because the person who's asking this question, he is concerned. He's concerned. Like one of the differences between the humans and the animals is that we can develop the quality of compassion, right? And the quality of causeless compassion. We should understand that we're all spirit souls. The body might be different, but ultimately we're all spirit souls. We all going through the same problem, this material existence. So the person who's asking this question, that's very nice, because he or she is actually trying to enlighten others about spiritual reality. So that is very nice. Now, the thing we should take into consideration very much is that unless a person is willing to hear, there is no chance of enlightening him or teaching him. So we must also consider whether that person is ready for such a discussion. When you study the Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, Arjuna is arguing with Krishna. He's giving all kinds of arguments. Oh, we should not fight because the women, they will be neglected. If the soldiers die, their wives will be neglected. That will create unwanted progeny, and so many other things. So at that point, when Arjuna is arguing, Krishna is simply smiling. He is not saying anything. He is not teaching about the soul, nothing about the real self. Simply smiling. Only when Arjuna submits, when he understands that his mental speculation, his own solutions have brought him nowhere, and he surrenders to Krishna. There is actually a verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, now I am becoming your disciple. Now let us finish friendly talks, because when you speak to a friend, right, it is not so serious. If you're asking your friend something, he might not take you so seriously, and you might also not take his answer seriously. So accepting a guru is a serious matter. Unless you're ready to accept the solution, then don't ask a question. So, we're supposed to be gurus on Krishna's behalf. Lord Chaitanya has taught us this. Jare dako tarikao Krishna upadesh. Amara agyaya hanat guru arate desha. Lord Chaitanya says that everyone should be a guru by preaching what Krishna has spoken. Krishna upadesh, the instruction of Krishna. If you repeat, then you become a guru. But if you want to be guru on Krishna's behalf, then you should also act like Krishna. You should emulate that example, not give to anyone and everyone unnecessarily agitating their minds. Even Krishna says, Don't agitate the minds. Those who are attracted to the fruitive mentalities, those who are stuck in this materialism, don't agitate their minds. Hey, engage them in the works of devotion. Somehow or other, try to engage them in Krishna's service. Because that is the real self. It is not simply that the self is eternal. That is not the complete idea. The self is also active in eternal devotional service to Krishna. So if you engage him in service, and the best service is to chant Hare Krishna, the easiest service. But anyone, for example, we have many supporters. They have regular jobs and they send us a donation. So then their job becomes a form of karma yoga. They also serve Krishna by the fruits of their labor. That is also devotional service. So if we do like that, instead of speaking big philosophy that the person might not even be able to assimilate or is not ready to hear, if we engage him in devotional service, then he's already there. He's acting as his real self, as a devotee or servant of Krishna. So this is another answer to this question. And of course, I'm answering because I don't know exactly what the situation is, whether the person is receptive or not. Everything depends on the circumstances. But I'm going to give another answer to this question. Krishna, after Arjuna submits, he gives a wonderful argument. He says, Dehinosmin yatarihi kaumanam yovanam jara tatha dhihantara prapti dhirastatranamuyati. Those of you who have read the Bhagavad Gita, they're familiar with this shloka. But let us understand, you are changing your body, changing from a childhood to boyhood to youth to old age. This is a fact. This is not a religion. It's not a question of opinion. Everybody must, unless he's insane, everybody must admit that the body is going through the changes. But you are not changed. You are observing how your body is changing. You are observing how your mind is changing. You are observing how your intelligence has developed from a child's intelligence. You know, child's intelligence is, where are the candies? Where are the ladus? Right? A teenager's intelligence is, oh, where is a young lady I can go to have a rendezvous, right? And a grown-up person is thinking, oh, how do I pay the bills? So intelligence is also changing, but you, the person who is aware of this, you're not changing. That is the spirit soul. That is who you are. You are eternal. You're not changing. So by giving this wonderful argument, the wonderful analogy Krishna gives from the Bhagavad Gita, any person can very fast, very quickly understand his spiritual identity. Is that all right?
Thank you so much. Our next question is how someone get rid from ego. How a person get rid from ego. Even we see who in teaching line or in professional, they teach everyone about ego, what is ego, but they himself or herself become attached by ego. So it is a big problem of today's modern era, and who is not attached with the spiritual line. So I want to answer from you how someone get rid from.
Yes. I saw one time I saw a video. There's an actor, Jim Carrey, American actor, and he was making a joke. He said that I am the most successful person who have conquered the ego. I have conquered it, so no one else was able to conquer the ego like myself. It was very funny. So that is true. Even in spiritual circles, those who are trying to be humble and try not to cultivate the selfish mood, they themselves become very proud of being pure, being righteous, and that's another form of ego. So how do we get rid of ego? First of all, the ego, there are two egos. There is a good ego and there is false ego or ahankara. The false ego we should give up. What is that false ahankara? That I am God. This is the false ego. This is the combination of all ego, that I think I am God. I am one with God. But we also have a real ego. And that real ego we don't have to get rid of. Quite the opposite. That real ego we should use in service of Krishna. Ego means identity, uniqueness. We should not get rid of this. This is a misinterpretation of the Mayavadi philosophers. They say that, oh, you have to get rid of all ego. Just like you bathing a baby and you throw away the bathing water along with the baby. Is that intelligence? No, you keep the baby and you get rid of the dirty water. So the real ego is that I am a servant of Krishna. That is not a bad ego. Like I was explaining before, if everyone is serving Krishna, there is no selfishness. One center, one root. We're all together serving Krishna, we all benefit. So there is no need to get rid of ego. Even Krishna says, Natu evam natu jasam natvam nemi janaripaha. Nachaivana bhavishyama sarva bhayam ataha param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, Arjuna, nor all these kings. Never shall there be a time when we cease to exist. So Krishna in this shloka establishes eternal ego. Eternal ego. No need to get rid of this. But as soon as we start thinking, I am the Lord and Master, I am the God here, I am the controller, I am a very important person, that is the problem, that we should get rid of this. Okay?
Thank you. Another question is, in modern era, entire human beings except few involved in fulfillment of their materialistic desire, like lust, money, etc. So what are the tools according to you to connect them to spiritual life?
Same answer. You, let's say you have some lusty feeling, you want to marry, you want to have some woman, that's all right. You beget children for Krishna consciousness. Beget children and raise them in Krishna consciousness. Then that lust becomes spiritualized. Similarly, you want money? Very good. Get as much money as possible and make a nice temple for Krishna. In this way, your greed for money becomes purified. Very simple. Rupa Goswami, Srila Rupa Goswami, one of the prime disciples of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he gave this instruction. Nirbandhe Krishna Sambandhe. What is it? Yukta Ivaragya Uchyate. To simply reject something that could be used for Krishna consciousness is not a complete renunciation. I'll give the example. Let's say someone loses his wallet. So one person sees the wallet on the street and he takes it and he goes and squanders in a casino, like a complete nonsense. Another person sees the wallet and he doesn't touch. Oh, it's not mine. I don't see it. Okay, go on. A third person sees the wallet and he takes the wallet and he finds the owner, gives it to the owner. So the third person is the best. And the third person is a devotee of Krishna. All the money that we have here belongs to Krishna. Ishabhasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tina tektina bunjita magadakasya svedanam. Sri Upanishad, again, very nice shloka. Everything is the property of the Lord. You have a right to enjoy your particular quota, but don't encroach upon others. Then you become very happy. So if you give the money for Krishna conscious purposes, for the service of Krishna, then that is the right utilization of money. And if you simply reject these two other personalities, these are the examples of materialists and false renunciants. You cannot renounce anything because nothing in this world belongs to you. If I go to the Bank of England and I say, I renounce this money, it's simply a show because I'm not the possessor of the money in the Bank of England. So you cannot renounce anything. And similarly, you should not use Krishna's property for your sense gratification. Whatever is there, use it for Krishna's service. In this way, you become transcendental and you will not be implicated.
Thank you so much. Other question is, as we read about that man ev manusya ram karan bandhan mokshayo, and the second, Arjun said to Lord Krishna that chanchalam hi mana Krishna. So for that, what is the role of the Krishna consciousness or the spiritual lifestyle for the betterment of mental health? As a field, as we know, the 90% problem is from mind in today's world. So, what is how we can propagate the idea of spirituality or the way of Krishna consciousness in field of mental health, not only for treatment purpose but also for the upliftment or the excellence of mental health of people. So, what is your opinion? How we can merge them or give a better solution to the mental health professionals with the Krishna consciousness or the spirituality?
Yes, well, it becomes a little difficult because we have all these kind of theories and sciences. We have made everything very complicated. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manmana bhavat bhakto mamyaji mam namaskuru. He gives a solution. Manmana, think of me. Manmana, bhavamat bhakto, become my devotee. Mamyaji, thank you. Mamyaji, worship me. Namaskuru, offer your obeisances to me. This is how you become a devotee, basically. But now if you tell people, they will have all kinds of objections. Oh no, this is religion. Oh, this the first problem with this you can say mental, what is that? Mental no. Oh, you can't hear the people who are in the medical profession and they're treating the mind like a psychologist, like that. Mental therapist. The problem is that people are, again, trying to make themselves the center of the universe. I have a mental problem. I have a problem. And they're coming to Krishna. Oh, please help me. They're using Krishna as their servant. You see, when everything is nice, if they don't have mental problems, oh, they don't care for Krishna. Well, Krishna, I kick out what this Purujit is saying. Oh, let me turn it off. But when there's some mental problem, when there's depression, then, problems, Krishna, help me. You see, so the whole, how you call it, the psychological industry, medical association.
The whole medical industry.
Medical industry, but especially mental, because they were asking about the mental health, is based on this principle of helping people who want to use Krishna for their own betterment. So that must be first of all explained, that this Maha Mantra chanting and Krishna is not for our service. It's not that we can use Krishna to improve our mental health. This is our original nature. In other words, Prabhupada also gave this nice class, Who is Crazy? We have also made a movie out of this. You can check on our channel, Expand the Bliss. He's asking that in that class, who is crazy? You might say that, oh, you have some mental problem. But the person who thinks that he's the body, people who think, oh, I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Hindu, I'm Christian, I'm Jew, I'm man, woman, ugly, beautiful, tall, small, black, white. They're all crazy. They all have a mental problem because you are not this body. So someone might feel more urgent than mental problems, something by good fortune, actually. He is now tasting some suffering. That is a very good qualification to take up spiritual life. So he's feeling a little discomfort, but everyone is crazy. Everyone has a mental problem. So long we think we're this body, and things related to the body are mine, are very essential, and we neglect the spiritual side, we're all crazy. So then you can make your just take this into consideration when treating the patients.
Thank you. There are so many questions, but now I have to put a second last one to you.
Okay.
We heard about that the youth are the powers of any society. If we channelize the power of youth of any nation, any society, we can make a big change in that society or the nation or all over the world. But we are seeing today the youth of most of countries, or we can say the at global level, they are not moving towards their real self, or they are not accepting the concept, the true concept of spirituality, the Krishna consciousness. So how we can propagate the idea of spirituality, the relevance of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, and it is said in Mahatyam that Gita Adhyam Shilasya Pranayam Parascha Naiv Santhi Papani Purjanma Kritani Cha. So this is a very vast uh, way to be understood, to why they are not understanding these kind of things for their life. It is more important thing for their life. So in your opinion, how or the what message you can convey or you want to convey to the youth of this world or on this earth, how we can channelize that power for the betterment of world?
Krishna says, Yadya Dacharati Shestas. He says that if you want to uh, change someone, you must first of all change yourself. Why the youth is not feeling inspired? Because they have no one to follow. There is no example. So you become an example first of all before you start criticizing the youth. Are you perfect? Look at our Srila Prabhupada. He was 70 years old and he did inspire the youth of America. So puffed up, you can say America on the top of the world, materially speaking. What do they have to hear from some old Indian gentleman? But he did it because he was spiritually empowered and he was following Krishna in total. If you follow Krishna only in something, you pick something, this I like from Krishna, this I don't like, then how can the youth follow your example? That if the youth is not acting the way you want them to act, it's because they're following your fallen example. So before you criticize the youth, you become example, then the youth will follow automatically.
Thank you so much. At last, there are many questions, but time has limitations. I am very thankful for your presence here. You have delivered very uniquely and very in a very interesting manner from the origin of the universe, from the Brahma, the types of species, the consciousness of human, the concept of self is delivered very well to all our audience. And you also told about the your good work for humanity with a spiritual concept of Sri Leela Prabhupada. I am also requesting at the last of this session, kindly put your email address or your website address or any contact in chat box. So anyone who wants to gain any knowledge from there, he or she can directly reach there. So at last, I want to say a conclude message for, and I also requested you for a bhajan or a devotional song at last. So we will perform at last with if any equipments you have. It will be a very great and honor to us. So there are so many questions still left. We will meet again. This is just a beginning of our session, as I think. We will do again more and more session for the betterment of humanity. I am also thanking to all the audience who joined on our Google Meet platform and who are seeing us on our live streams, so our Facebook page. And again, I am thanking you so much, or you are so kind to accept my invitation to come on my platform, and you are really doing a great work for humanity. You have a vast knowledge about the Vedas, the Upanishads. As you mentioned, the Ishopanishad first verse, that Ishavashmidam sarvam yat kinch jagatyam jagat tena tak tena bhunjita magradha kasya sviddhana. So it is, if a person can wants to become a spiritually, a single verse is sufficient, in my opinion. Ishavashmidam sarvam, as in Bhagavad Gita, the same thing is delivered by Lord Krishna, that Yo Mam Pashyati Sarvatra, that is Ishavashimidam Sarvam. So it is very nicely, you have a very deep knowledge, and I have very thankful for your presence. At last, before our bhajan or devotional song, I want to request you give a conclude remark about the whole session and message you want to deliver from this session, from your life and from your experience, to all the listeners who is still here, and thousands of people will see our this session. So what conclude message or what you want to say to the audience of the world or the public humans for the betterment of humanity as a service of Lord Krishna?
Yes, thank you, Samyak. It's a pleasure for me to be in association of receptive people. I'm especially noting that you have listened very carefully to my presentation, and this feels very nice. I'm not used to this. I'm used to that people are usually sleeping when I speak. So this is very nice, and surely I'm always at your service anytime we can make this session. Of course, I have to also see my schedule, but I'm very happy that you have took the initiative and called me here. Um, my request is, because I know many nice people from India are watching. My request to especially Indian people is that don't be afraid to present the Vedic culture to the Western people. The Western people, they might be a little difficult to relate to. It might be a little intimidating. But you have a great knowledge, and the Western people need to be educated because they're holding the power. You see, so you as the people of India, you have a great responsibility to guide them so they don't create a catastrophe in this world. And it is the request of Lord Chaitanya that anyone who has taken his birth in Bharata Varsha, he should make his life perfect and then distribute his knowledge all around the world, just like our Srila Prabhupada has done. Srila Prabhupada is your great hero. Please try to appreciate his contribution, and if possible, try to emulate his example. We might not be so successful as Srila Prabhupada, but everyone can take a little step further. Don't be afraid of the Western people. If I didn't get this knowledge from Srila Prabhupada, I would be very depressed, very nonsense person. I have benefited so much. So you holding these great jewels in the form of Vedic knowledge, distribute it. Distribute. People are waiting here in the Western world. We have tried everything. We have exhausted everything. People are so much frustrated. They have no culture. They have no knowledge. Simply materialism. So you can create such a auspicious atmosphere in this world if you simply distribute his knowledge, and if you simply hear Srila Prabhupada regularly, if you become familiar with his teaching, as you read his books, you'll be empowered, and he will give you all the arguments, everything that you will be able to very nicely convince them. Whatever I have spoken here today, this is not my contribution. I am not a special personality. Whatever I have spoken, I have learned from the books of Srila Prabhupada. So thank you so much. I don't know exactly how to put the email address to the chat box. I don't see any chat box here. Maybe I have to do a little research, but you can access me on Facebook usually. My name is Purujit Dasa. if you add me and if you write a little message, because sometimes there are many requests, so please write a message. I will respond. If you have more questions, I am very open. I can respond. And if I cannot find the time, then my assistants, they will be able to answer you the questions. And otherwise, we have a website, expandthebliss.com, and our YouTube channel is called Expand the Bliss also. You can find me there. So please don't hesitate to stay in touch. And we're ready to chant.
Yes.
So I'll just say Hare Krishna, thank you so much. And we've got into the chanting. Is that okay, Samyak?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. We are
Okay.
ready.
Okay. So thank you so much. This is my good friend, Maitreya Prabhu, Maitreya Rishi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So we will chant a little bit of the Maha Mantra. You can join us if you like.
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine
Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine.
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarisha Tarine
Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyarisha Tarine.
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Dharadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hari Hari, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hari Hari, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Hare, Hare
Hare Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama.
Hare Hare. Jaya Gaura Nitsai, Gaura Nitsai, Gaura Nitsai, Jaya Gaura Nitsai, Jaya Gaura Nitsai, Gauranga, Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Gauni Sai ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so much. I am very
I actually
humble.
cannot hear. Maybe you could. Thank you, Prabhu. Okay, thank you. Oh, grabbed it. Entangled. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hey Krishna, are you getting my voice?
Yes, I'm hearing you here.
Okay,
Loud and
thank you
clear.
so much. I would like to tell
Thank
my
you.
audience that Matre Das is also very helpful for managing this session, and he's a very true devotee. I think both the Purujit Das and the Matre Das has a soulmate of previous birth. He, and Purjit will be a soulmate from previous birth. So Lord Krishna has made all of this on this platform, and your voice is very melodious. Touch of soul or a devotee soul is coming from your voice. We have recorded this all this session. We will send it to you, and you can use it for the betterment of humanity. Anything you want to deliver your message, it is you're welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, everything I learned from His Grace Purujit Prabhu. And in terms of our what we do, you can check out, like Prabhu mentioned, we're on Facebook at Expand the Bliss. We have other social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, all under the same title, Expand the Bliss. We have a website also. And we have many exciting projects coming up. Prabhu has compiled many ebooks. Feel free to read them. We have Srila Prabhupada's original books on our website. Many other exciting things, videos, movies like that, and podcasts like we've also mentioned. So there's many exciting contents to check out on our various social media platforms. We thank you very much, dear Samyak Prabhu, for inviting us on. It was a real pleasure to have Prabhu talk and for us to do some bhajan. We very much appreciate it. Thank you.
And I am requesting any kind of help from my side at my level. I am always ready to help for this work of Lord Krishna.
Jai.
So you can just text me, or whether it is just a beginning of our journey. We will definitely work together for the betterment of humanity, for
Mm.
spreading the message of Leela Prabhupada or the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the Lord Krishna and
Mm.
all. So
Jai.
I really helpful, thankful for helping you at my level. So you are free to contact me at any time for my help. It is just a beginning, and you are truly expanding the bliss. Not
Wonderful.
the
Jay, thank
only
you
way
so
to
much.
expanding the bliss is through your work. And thank you so much for your presentation. Very good bhajan from your side. And I pray to Lord Krishna that your work is bring a great change for the humanity. It is bringing now, but in future it will dwell like a sun in the sky. So the world will know the great hard work behind the all the work of expand the bliss. And thank you so much. I invite all of you to India whenever you have time. Come here and meet me. So it is a great experience.
So thank you very much. Very nicely said. We very much appreciate it. With your help, hopefully, we will reach a bigger audience. I'm sure. So thank you once again, Samyak. Thank you to everyone who attended also, and thank you for arranging all of this. Really wonderful. I think it's probably time for us to go now, but it was a pleasure, and I hope that we again meet on this platform or some other platform. We can do some work together, like you say.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Now it's time to wind up our session. Is this okay?
I think this is all right for me.
Okay.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada. Jai,
Hare
Bhaktivedanta
Krishna.
Sound
Hare
Society.
Krishna to all.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.